Hello, it's Max and Simone, your favorite neighborhood nerd and her puppy. We are going to unbox a fountain pen, but if you hear noise in the background, it's him. The pen that I want to open up today and share with you is this Pilot Custom 742. I purchased it on Amazon when it was quite low, because I was of the mindset that I wanted to use this pen, harvest the nib, put it in a flexible nib factory housing, and then use it on one of my custom pens from small makers. However, when I opened it, I was really attracted to this very black, very cigar-shaped pen. So I am going to postpone that for now and try the pen just like this. And maybe eventually at a later date, I will get a housing for this nib. It comes in this box. There is a cartridge in here, nothing underneath. And this is what it looks like. Oh, oopsie, I meant to clean this before I started film the video. I dip tested it and see how I liked it, because I wasn't sure if I wanted to give the FA nib a try. It comes with the Con70 converter. So now let's talk about the FA nib. The FA nib is one of the flexible nibs, more flexible, modern flex nibs from Pilot. It comes on the Custom 742 in a number 10 nib and on the Custom 743 in a number 15 nib. The nib size that is the same as the Pilot Custom 823 or the Custom 743. Pilot has more than just three, but the three that are familiar with me now is the number 5 nib that is on a Custom 74, on a Custom 74, the number 10 nib that is on a Custom 742 or a Custom 912, and then the number 15 nib that is on the 743 and the 823, just so that you know what I'm talking about. If you've been following my channel for a while, you know that I have been very adamant and outspoken about me and flexible nibs, to the point that I would not use them, would not try them, because I'm not good at flexing nibs. So, and that is still true. I am still not very good at flexing nibs. I don't know how to use brush pens successfully. I can use them, but it never feels like it looks good. However, I just hit this camera arm with my hat. I'm gonna take it off, and then this doesn't happen again. I still am, but I've also been playing with a lot of my fountain pens. This is my collection of play pens that I currently have inked, which is basically all of them. And watching other people play with flex nibs made me more open to having a pen just for fun and trying to use it, and, you know, allowing myself to fail dramatically at using a flex pen successfully. Now, of course, I totally understand that this nib is quite expensive and that this is not necessarily something that you would do. I love fountain pens. I save all of my spending money just for spending on fountain pens. So I am allowing myself this pleasure of buying a pen and a nib just to play with it, and not have a lot of expectations of being amazingly good at it. So I have cleaned this out. You saw the ink on there. I want to ink it with a sample that I received from my friend Wendy Sue, who is also the person who made me want to get specifically this nib. It is Rohrer and, let me say it in German, Rohrer und Klingner Blue-Eyed Mary. And I want to ink this up and then do some measurements, size comparisons, and then write all of that down into my journal and see how that goes. The Blue-Eyed Mary ink is, I think, a limited edition. I am not even sure if it's still available anywhere. I'm glad I was able to try a sample, but you know, if that is an ink that you're looking for or that interests you, it might not be available anymore from any places. I usually remove all of this, and I will do that too right now. And then we can totally go ahead and do the size comparisons. So I'm usually comparing it first to the two pens that many people have in their collections. One of them, because they're quite affordable, quite good pens, the TÜSB Eco and the Lamy Safari, or in this case, it is a Lamy LX. As you can see, the 742 is a tiny bit longer than both of the other pens. It is also the only one that is cigar shaped. Both of the others are flat tops. Compared to a Sharpie, it's very similar. The Sharpie is just a tiny bit shorter. I also brought an Estie to compare it with, and the other two Pilot custom pens that I have in my collection. So let me just move this aside. And the Custom 74 is much slimmer than the Custom 742 and 743. It is more comparable actually to the Sharpie in its width. The Custom 742 is very similar in width to the 743. It is just a little bit more stout. The Estie comes closest to the 743. Let's uncap all of those pens and just look at them uncapped. This pen is just unfortunately unnibbed, but there's a nib in there that is about the size as the TÜSB nib and the Lamy nib. Let me put all of those caps right here. If I compare them uncapped, the Custom 742 and the Custom 74 are almost the same length. The 743 is a little bit longer, but not by much. It is actually almost the same length as the as the Estie. Now, the Estie is a tiny bit shorter. The nib on the Custom 74 is a tiny bit shorter, so the way your hand is, the angle that your hand sits on the page is different from the Custom 74. Let's post all of those pens. And then as a last thing, I usually do not post either one of those pens here, but just for completion's sake, they become super unwieldy when posted, in my opinion. So, posted, interestingly enough, the SD is very long compared to all of the Pilot pens. The Custom 743 is just a smidgen longer than the Custom 742. TWSBI Eco is the same length as the SD as well as the Lamy Safari. So now let's just look at this nib for a moment. I will show you how all three of those pens lay in my hand. I really enjoy using the Custom 743. The girth of the section is very comfortable to me, either unposted or posted, both work for me. It has a comfortable balance when it's posted, so it's not like it's going to rip the pen out of your hand and topple over backwards. The Custom 742 feels like the same section width. The nib is just a tiny bit shorter. And then the SD. The SD to me is a weird length. It feels almost too short when it is unposted, and when it is posted, it almost feels too long, which is the same or similar. Let me just compare these two. Yeah, see? The problem with the SD, even though this is a total tangent, is that it is much shorter than the Lamy Safari or Lamy LX. This feels like a good size pen in my hand. This one doesn't, but we just established that the SD, probably because it doesn't post as deeply as the Pilot Custom 743 and 742, becomes a very long pen when it is posted, almost to the point that it's not very comfortable. It's okay, but it feels kind of out of balance or just odd, not necessarily out of balance. Let me just cap this because I'm getting lightheaded. So the nib on the FA, this is a flexible nib, looks a little bit different than your standard fountain pen nib. It has these indentations right here. This is to make the nib be flexible enough so that you can actually flex it. Whereas this nib looks like the nib that we know. If we talk about nibs, this is what we think of. Not so much this. It looks like a very streamlined, speedboaty kind of thing that is in front of one of those pens here. I am interested to compare the section width of these three pens, so I'm going to measure them, but let's just I need a piece of paper right here. So the Custom 742 is a pen with a ink inside would also be very helpful. So glad I have my pens right here. So length capped is 14.6. Uncapped, it is 12.9. posted. It is 15.9. What else do I need? Uncapped, posted. Does it post well? Yes, it posts quite deeply, and I haven't noticed, like, this is the first time that I notice how that helps with the balance of a pen when a cap posts more deeply than just back here. Well, then what else do we need? The weight and the diameter. Weight. So, of course, I have a scale. $25 grams. Capped or posted, both work. 25 grams. And then if you do not post, the pen drops down to 16 grams. Wow, this is not how this works. And then let's measure the diameter. Okay, at its narrowest point, which is right here, before it slants back out towards the nib, it is 10.73 millimeters. At its widest point, which is just before the section ends. Oh, wow, mistake. 11.51. And now I would love to compare this to the other pens, because my assumption is actually that this is exactly the same. 10.71 widest point, 1150. I would assume that this is the same. It's just my incorrect measuring. And then let's see, the Custom 74 is a little narrower. This is 9.84 and 9.79. This pen, I love the nib. That's why I harvested it from the pen and put it on a custom pen, custom nib, custom pen. Oh my goodness. This pen is not comfortable for me for longer writing sessions. However, these two are. Let's just compare one last thing. I think the sections seem to be exactly the same. So in theory, if you didn't want to rip out the, if you didn't want to rip out the nib, but you wanted it to use it on a different pen, you could just swap the sections. I don't know if this also works in reverse, because the caps for the pens are they the same or are they different? They look different enough for me to not want to try swapping the caps. I believe you could always upscale or upsize, but I would probably not downsize the cap for the pens. All right, now that we have established all of this, the last thing I want to figure out is how many cap rotation it takes to uncap the pen. 1.5. The reason why I'm interested in this is because of the Benu Daily Mate that took 5.5. So, cap rotations. So, let's document all of this in my notebook. I think I'm going to post this pen. I need a blotting paper and then we can start. So this is a new pen day. You know what? I'm just going to write. Okay, Pilot Custom 742. It is the regular black with an F A nib, and this is a 14 karat gold nib. So what makes this pen special, as you saw, it has different widths of stroke. You can flex the nib, so if you do not apply any pressure, downstrokes look like this, side strokes look like this, upstrokes like this, figure eights look like this, and this is how it writes. My biggest concern with a flex nib was that it would feel too soft and that I would not be able to control to write in regular letters and that my handwriting would look sloppy. And I decided that I don't give. I don't give two flying fucks about the sloppiness of my writing. It's super lovely and super wet. And I'm going to write the Quick Brown Fox once very slowly and then quickly. And I think I'm going to flex the word fox. Brown fox jumps over the lazy dog. And then was this fast or slow? I think it was slow in the beginning, so let's try again. The quick. So if I write very slowly, I can adjust or determine how much pressure I put on this. Brown. And then I can flex, and this needs to be done very slowly. But if I write faster, jumps over the lazy dog, it's harder to be able to keep the line width the same. You can see. So I'm just going to, this is slow, flex, and this is fast. But it's less problematic than I had anticipated. I think I've been using fountain pens for a while now. This is also something that came with use and ease of comfort of all of those pens. Now I am less heavy-handed than I was in the beginning, and I can actually pay attention to the line width and how much pressure I apply. So let's put length, capped, 14.6 centimeters, length uncapped is 12.9. Maybe I'm also less concerned about how my handwriting looks. It's nice enough. It doesn't need to be the same. Breaking out of all of those self-imposed rules posted is 15.9 centimeters. It posts well and deeply. Maybe I should add the ink. This is Rohrer and Klingner. And it's a really lovely color, man. What is it called? Blue-Eyed Mary. So, weight. It's definitely a different writing experience or feeling because weight posted is 25 grams. Wow, that's not correct. And weight uncapped is 16 grams. Last thing is diameter. Narrow 10.73 millimeters, and diameter widest is 11.51 millimeter, and this is the same section as Pilot Custom 743 or 823. Not that you could remove the section, just for reference that if you were thinking about this pen, it feels the same in your hand in terms of how girthy the section is. It will be shorter, but not by much. Cap rotations. .5. So, first impressions. I need to think on that for a little bit. What a change of heart on the Pilot FA nib and on the pen body. I really like this plain black cigar-shaped pen. So I'll use it for a while, maybe forever, until I harvest it. The nib is wet and bouncy, and it definitely is a huge adjustment to not let my full weight of my hand rest on the nib of the pen. I was very afraid of the uneven or sloppy handwriting that would result from such a soft nib. I actually really like it though. The flexing will need to be practiced, but I even like this. I don't have to write big statement pieces to enjoy the nib, and it's not as slow as I had expected. There is a little bit of railroading or hard starting, but that might just be me. OMG, I'm so glad this is love. Just quickly adding, as I've used this for about a week now, the railroading got worse, but the converter was almost empty, so I topped it off. I might go ahead and purchase the JoWo nib housing as well as the Ebonite feed from Flexible Nib Factory sooner than I expected when I wrote this. But I'll see how it performs when I'm with a completely full converter fill. I've also used it twice or three times now and used it while flex writing. It is very slow, but also that can be something that is, good. I can feel my whole body tensing up while writing with the nib, so I need to practice that more. But I really like how my handwriting and my flex writing looks. So I did not expect this to happen at all, and I'm so glad I have this pen. Now I'm looking at other flex nibs, from far away for now, but I did not expect this to happen at all. I mean, you just watched and heard what I wrote. I am impressed. I am especially impressed by being able to write in my normal handwriting with flexing, and it doesn't look bad. It looks a little like childish cursive, but I don't really care. This is a lot of fun, and I can see myself using it. I love how the shading of the ink looks in the flex piece part of here. So cool, so lovely. I am impressed, and I can't wait to to keep using this. I'm glad I inked it with this ink. This is such a lovely teal. I mean, I'm always a sucker for teal inks, but this is so cool. I wanted to wait on purchasing this pen for a longer time. But if you're like me, and once you have something in your mind, you're completely obsessed about it and you can't stop thinking. So I pulled the trigger. Yeah. I'm glad I did because I can see myself enjoying this for quite a bit. Thank you so much for watching. I hope to see you again soon. Let me know your flex nib experience, specifically with the Pilot FA nib in the comments down below. I would love to hear how you get on with those nibs, what you use them for, and how you enjoy them. I'm hooked now. See you later. Bye.